4 days before the start of the FIBA World Cup, Kyrie Irving, Derrick Rose, the dynamic U.S. backcourt, getting set for their final tune-up tonight. Anthony Davis leading Team USA against Slovenia. You are watching USA Basketball presented by Nike from the Canary Islands. Team USA getting set to take on Slovenia in their final test before the start of the FIBA World Cup. With Fran Fraschilla, I'm Mark Kestisher. Was the World Championship 4 years ago, Fran, but the U.S. won the gold as they took on Turkey.
Well, we were courtside and we saw the magnificence of Kevin Durant. It was a coming out party for not only Durant, but Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, and Russell Westbrook. Durant really the MVP of the tournament. Fabulous. And they beat Turkey in Istanbul, which wasn't easy, Mark.
And, of course, they're going to be playing in Spain. We'll see if they could beat Spain if that happens in the gold medal game. Only Curry, Gay, and Rose, the holdovers. A lot of options at point guard as we look at the 12-man roster that was finalized late Friday.
Absolutely. Well, Derrick Rose, I think, has proven to the coaching staff he's ready to go. Kyrie Irving, a great training camp, and Steph Curry gives you the ability to play both on and off the ball with his great shooting and passing.
Damian Lillard was the cut. How about the wings? Always a lot of great NBA caliber wings to choose from.
Well, you're talking about James Harden, one of the best scorers in the league. DeMar DeRozan played his way onto this team with his versatility. And Klay Thompson, one of the best two-way guards you'll see in this tournament and in the NBA.
Yep, hit four three-pointers the other night. The big story was the bigs as Team USA opted to go with all of them.
Bigs in basketball, like offensive alignment in football, Mark, you can never have enough. They know what Davis and Fareed can do, but Jerry Colangelo, Coach K, decided to keep Cousins, Drummond, and Plumlee, trying to get a feel for them as they get ready possibly to play Spain in the gold medal game.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups now. They are brought to you by Nike, and the United States is going to have the same starting five it did against the Dominican and against Puerto Rico with Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry, Fareed Davis, and Harden. Goran Dragic, the Dragic brothers, highlight Slovenia, Fran, for a team that is ranked 13th in FIBA. And Coach K, of course, coaching the United States team against Jure Stoch, and he certainly has a lot of history going back, not only with Slovenia, but back to the Yugoslavian days.
One of the great players in that era, played with some great players. We'll talk about him, and of course, Coach K is on a real roll at 65-2 as the head coach of this USA national team.
There's a look at Mike Krzyzewski with the 4 gold medals and 1 loss since 2005. Kenneth Fareed right now about to speak to the crowd here at Gran Canaria.
Hola, thank you all for coming out tonight. We're excited to be here. On behalf of myself, my teammates, thank you all for coming out. I hope y'all enjoy the night. Gracias.
Hola, gracias por venir.
Fareed of the Denver Nuggets showing early Spanish here in the first few days.
Well done.
Gran Canaria Arena, which had just opened this year and will be the site of Group D of the FIBA World Cup, which Slovenia will take part in. For the United States, still a little bit of a travel to get to Bilbao, about 1,000 miles to the southern shores of Spain, and then 1,500 miles all the way up to Bilbao.
Bilbao up there by San Sebastian, a beautiful place, great food, great arena, 18,000.
And the United States will be opening against Finland on Saturday. Slovenia in the, I'm going to go with olive green uniforms. You know that is the Slovenian national team when you see that color out there. And the birthday boy, James Harden, out on the floor as well from the Houston Rockets. As we get set to get underway, Slovenia, this is actually their 13th and final tune-up, the 4th for the United States. And a whistle on the jump ball, and the United States will have it first. The U.S. 3-0 win over Brazil, impressive in Chicago about a week and a half ago, and then the 2 friendlies at the Garden, Dominican Republic and over Puerto Rico. And a traveling call against Kyrie Irving. And that's going to be, we talk about the changes in the game.
Yes.
This is going to be the first game now where you get the European officials, the FIBA officials.
You don't see those fake travels anymore in FIBA play, but the referee thought that Kyrie didn't put the ball down in time. Now, the test here for Team USA is very perimeter-oriented Slovenian team. They shoot 33s a game, and they really don't have any inside game to speak of.
This is Zoran Dragic, who misses on his first shot. Farid, the rebounder. We kept an eye, Fran, on Friday night to see how Farid would bounce back as Harden gets fouled on his way to the rim. He showed a very aggressive game, and I think Coach K would like to see that the rest of the way. Check out the rules differences between the NBA and FIBA. 4 10-minute quarters, the no live ball timeouts, 5 fouls, remember, so early foul trouble could be a problem, and once the ball hits the rim, you could knock it right out of the zone.
Exactly. Those are the main rule differences, and as we've said many times, Team USA has grown very comfortable with FIBA rules because so many of these guys, if they didn't represent the national team, they've played at the under-19s, under-18s, and they're getting very familiar with the rule changes.
Now, as we get underway, let's talk about the cuts that were made off the second miss by Harden, but out of bounds against Slovenia, and so the U.S. will keep it. Were you surprised that they went with the bigs, taking all the bigs, knowing Spain is down the road in a possible gold medal?
The only reason I wasn't surprised is we could tell, talking to Jerry Colangelo and Mike Krzyzewski, that they felt they had numerous options, and in the end, they felt like they had enough good perimeter play that they were going to take the chance and try to find out who their third and fourth big men will be in their rotation. That's what he does.
Yeah, with an array of moves to get down the lane.
You're talking about the NBA's most improved player last year, third-team All-NBA, and he is a pain in the neck, Mark, to keep out of the paint.
A sloppy start for the United States. Their second turnover here in the opening 55 seconds. Goran Dragic hasn't been playing a load of minutes in these tune-ups. That's a deal between Slovenia and the Phoenix Suns. That's probably all bets are off once the tournament starts. But he was behind the big comeback to win against Lithuania last week, which a very big win for Slovenia.
Oh, absolutely. Now, these games are friendly matches, so the coaches do mix and match. But watch Goran Dragic. This is what he does in the league. This is pretty much on a nightly basis when you're talking about one of the league's best point guards.
Probably should have been an NBA All-Star, the #1 drub, and just go to YouTube. Check out his move against Lithuania last week. A missed shot by Davis, an offensive rebound by Farid.
That's why he is playing.
Here's Kyrie Irving, and he hits the first field goal, a deep 2, and the United States has an early lead.
Well, Kyrie Irving has really started to come into his own in terms of what he's shown us. Obviously an outstanding NBA player, but he loves playing with this array of talent.
Zoran Dragic, a little bit taller than his brother, very close-looking pair as Farid gets fouled quickly running down the floor. The other end of the floor, Miha Zupan with the foul, his first. He's a good story as well. You just saw Miha Zupan, number 10.
If you want to know why he's wearing that headband, he is one of the few deaf players in the world who's playing at this level. He's been basically deaf since birth, but he learned to play basketball at 14. He's got the hearing aids. He's got to keep them dry from the sweat, and that's why you see the headband. He is a great story and a good, solid European player now playing in Turkey.
The United States struggling at the free throw line so far, 1 for 5. 1 for 4 at the free throw line here in the early going.
Now you're going to see a lot of ball movement, dribble handoffs into pick and roll, and Dragic is as good at the pick and roll as there is in the NBA, especially when he can create his own shot.
There's Dragic at the elbow, a little step back off that move. And the rebound by Anthony Davis. This very similar to the Puerto Rican strategy that we saw on Friday night?
Yeah, I really don't expect this to be a game. Slovenia doesn't have any depth up front to speak of, and it's a good, solid team. They finished 5th last year in the European Championships Eurobasket on their home court in Ljubljana. Well coached, but it all goes through Dragic.
It was Domen Lorbeck missing the shot. His older brother Erasm unable to play as Steph Curry gets fouled on his way down the lane. Goran Dragic could have used a guy like Erasm Lorbeck, but his knees have been chronic issues.
And if you follow college basketball, Erasm Lorbeck played at Michigan State for 1 year in the early 2000s. Didn't play very much. He's been over here in Europe for a number of years and is really one of the outstanding players in EuroLeague basketball. But he's showing the wear and tear of age, and he's not going to play.
How about Kyrie Irving showing Goran Dragic a move of his own?
You know, in watching Slovenia on tape, Mark, they are not a great defensive team. They do not guard the dribble great, and I think that's an area that USA certainly is a strength.
Fourth lead change so far as Dragic, Koron misses. Anthony Davis the rebound, and here comes the U.S. again. Fareed running the floor, missed it from point blank, but follows it in.
Well, the Manimal, that's what they call him. Young man who's from Newark, New Jersey, led the NCAA in rebounding his senior year, almost 14 a game. One of the great rebounders in the modern history of the NCAA.
He's got 4 of the United States' 7.
Going a little zone.
Got 3-2 with the big man at the head. Normally, Daniel Santiago, their 7-footer, is the center, but they opted to go small to match the U.S. Curry hits the 3 off the great fake.
Now, what you're doing if you're Paco Olmos is you're just trying to keep USA off balance a little bit, but there's some great shooters out there. Hard to zone this USA team.
That snaps an 8-0 run by Puerto Rico. I heard you say throughout this whole training camp, you don't expect a lot of zone against this U.S. team as the shot clock hits 2. See if Perea can make something happen. Another block by the U.S. Davis and Fareed were right there. There's a look at Paco Olmos, actually from Spain, 44 years old, a coach in the Puerto Rican professional leagues, and they took notice of the job he has done down there to make him the national coach.
Well, and not an easy decision to make a non-Puerto Rican coach the head coach, but proved himself in the Superior League. Also has a great coaching staff.
And Kenneth Fareed from the baseline hitting.
Team USA will be a team of spurts. Because of the depth in their bench and because of the offensive firepower, they can go on a 10 or 12-0 run.
Altman against Davis. Davis with the size, 7 to shoot. Altman never had a hand on that one. Davis on the baseline. Hits there. It'll go to Puerto Rico.
I wonder if Davis had possession of that basketball. I guess they're saying that he did. Nope. Nope, they did not
reset the shot clock.
Yep.
3 seconds on the shot clock.
Referee Marat Kogut. This guy I know well. Used to be a manager at St. John's, now an NBA official.
That's right. See on their baseline out of bounds. They're going to get a 3-point look out of it. Arroyo, the offensive rebound and hit from behind by Steph Curry. That'll be his second. That's another rule change. Only 5 fouls in FIBA, so 2 early fouls, and Coach K will be forced to make some changes.
Well, and he will. You'll see Rudy Gay now, and wonder if he'll go to the backcourt as well.
It's like Klay Thompson getting off the bench. So Fareed and Curry will sit.
Coach K could not talk more highly of a guy than he did Klay Thompson yesterday, who I think is one of the more underrated young players right now in the NBA. And he's going to guard Carlos Arroyo. And he's been guarding throughout the season guys like Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul. So good challenge right there.
There's Sanchez, no look in the corner. Altman missing, Harden the rebound. James, a great feed to Irving. Nearly got put down by Davis. So much athleticism on the floor for the U.S.
That's a play where Davis just needed to cradle that ball in instead of trying to dunk it. But you can see that you can play with that ball up on the rim.
Arroyo trying to take on Davis. AD gets called for the foul. That'll be his second. So the U.S. with 2 guys with 2 fouls. Timeout here in New York. Puerto Rico only down a point at the first media timeout.
ESPN's presentation of
United States has the lead by 1. Carmelo Anthony, the New York Knickerbocker, in the crowd here in New York. Of course, guys like Carmelo not on Team USA like the Olympics. How about Kyrie Irving on the lack of international experience his team has?
We're the best in the world. We have respect for all the other countries and what they do, but I mean, we're the best. We're at the top peak level of what we do, and we have the best players in the world playing for our team, and we have to go out there and prove that every single night. And the target on our back is something I'm looking forward to, and I know these guys feel the same way. So bringing the continuity is obviously going to take time, but I mean, we have to come together as quickly as possible and just play for one another.
Brian, there's a lot of talk about continuity and teams like Spain and other really good teams getting set for the FIBA World Cup, but there's no lack of confidence from this American squad, young or not.
No question. And they don't have the amount of practice time, but they, quite frankly, don't need as much of it. Look at that. Look at that.
Wow, beating the shot clock horn. J.J. Barea with the three.
J.J. Barea could walk down any street in America, and he'd be the last guy you think would be an NBA player, and yet he has stood the test of time in the league. You can see why.
Harden wide open for three, can't answer. Yeah, Barea 8 years in the NBA, last three with Minnesota, just 5'11". Now 30 years of age and 8 points to lead Puerto Rico here in this friendly.
You see how they're spreading the floor. It's basically 5 out.
Mason Plumlee just into the game, getting a hand on one on the steal. Also, Derrick Rose is on the floor for the first time, number 6 on the left side as Rudy Gay misses. And we've got a loose ball foul. It's like against the United States. Let's put a little bow here on the experience factor that Spain, the number 2 team in FIBA, versus U.S. number 1.
When you look at that Spanish team led by Marc and Pau Gasol, 8 of their players played in the 2008 Olympics against Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and so very experienced team.
Foul previous to that, France, sorry to interrupt, was on Balkman, so the U.S. kept it, and Rose fouled there. And Barea picking up his first personal.
I think there was so much excitement about the return of Derrick Rose in Las Vegas at the training camp, the scrimmage, and then in Chicago. But you're looking at a guy that essentially has played very little basketball in over 2 years and 2 major knee surgeries. So I think it's prudent that he and the coaching staff, the training staff, are patient about his development over the next couple weeks.
They have a specialist who works for the Chicago Bulls who is traveling with him to make sure that he is stretched out on a daily basis. And then the question remains how the roster will shake out. And I guess the bigger question is, would you rather see Derrick Rose after tonight, tomorrow, how he reacts, how his knee reacts before any decision is made? Nice play by Balkman from Barea, showing off all his skills here tonight.
Well, this is a great test for USA. It really is. You want a game like this, at least early on. Barea showing no lack of confidence at all. Take a look. This is a guy that's maintained a nice little niche in the league as a role player. Good look. I like this matchup here, Arroyo and Klay Thompson.
You had mentioned earlier, Klay Thompson can defend too. And what did Coach K tell us yesterday is Alex Franklin on the reverse scores. How did he refer to how Klay Thompson
plays? Ticked off.
Ticked off.
Ticked off. That's how he's played in training camp.
And any head coach will take that any day. Plumlee on the fake on his way up for the score. Looking for the lob. Balkman couldn't get there. USA running. Inside to Gay. Turns and scores.
Good recognition by James Harden that time. Gay stepped right in front of Arroyo, and James Harden, who averaged about 5 or 6 assists a game last season, found him. See how much more physical FIBA is, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
College or the NBA?
And I would suspect once the entire group gets to Europe and you get the FIBA officials, they'll let the game play even more than you'll see in these friendly games.
Yeah.
Hard, one-legged.
Tell you, man, there aren't many better offensive players on the planet. Maybe 1 or 2, 3 at the most, if that.
Puerto Rico calls for time as the United States has scored 6 straight to take the lead here in New York. A U.S. spurt has them up by 1, but Fran Fraschilla, J.J. Barea's got 8 of those 20 for the Puerto Rican squad.
No surprise to anybody who's watched him play during his NBA career. Been with the national team since 2006. We call him a spark plug, right? Guy that can make things happen. There's a guy at South Carolina, the head coach Frank Martin, who's probably watching right now with some pleasure. He recruited J.J. Barea when he was an assistant to Ronnie Everhart up at Northeastern, where J.J. was an outstanding player. and has gone on to have a very solid NBA career.
J.J. Barea played at Miami Christian School. Of course, Carlos Rivera, another point guard, also came from that school.
Yep, played his basketball at Hofstra University. He'll be in shortly.
Frank Martin, one of the great recruiters of Miami, Florida. As the United States with a 1-point lead, as you pointed out, it's going to be a team that probably gets its scoring done in spurts.
There's that spread pick and roll again. That should be a charge, and it is. But you see the strategy that Puerto Rico is trying to employ. And Mark, I said it a couple minutes ago, this is actually a great test for Team USA. You have two NBA-level guards. You got Balkman with energy, who's been in the league. Sanchez, the stretch four. And it's forcing the USA to guard the entire half court. A little more zone now by Puerto Rico.
Thompson will shoot over that zone. Franklin the rebound. Alex Franklin getting a lot of run here in the early going.
Very energetic player, and he was for Fran McCaffrey at Siena.
There's the big man, Sanchez, with a deep two.
And he's effective out there because you got to decide if you're Plumlee whether you're going to come out and guard that. Chose not to.
Harden, the pass inside, a little behind the back from Plumlee. Once down and up for Rudy Gay.
Good effort.
Tipped out of bounds, it'll go to Puerto Rico. We've seen a lot of hands underneath, and Mason Plumlee very active, really making Jerry Colangelo and Mike Krzyzewski's decisions even that more difficult.
Well, they started in Las Vegas on the select team of young players. They added them to the roster, illegal screen out here. And one of the things that Jerry Colangelo told us throughout training camp, Mark, was it's not just how he played during the training camp. They went back and watched those big guys that guarded the Gasols during the season in anticipating finding somebody that's going to have to guard those guys as D. Rose knocks it down. Everything has been well calculated.
Derrick Rose, who scored 7 points in 24 minutes in Chicago against Brazil, sat out the Dominican Republic matchup with sore knees, sat out practice Monday and Tuesday, returned to practice yesterday. It was a non-contact practice day up at the New York Athletic Club, showing some defense right here against Barea before getting picked off. 4 seconds to go in the first. Huertas just in the game. Missing a follow dunk by Ricky Sanchez. We're tied after 10 minutes, Fran.
Puerto Rico has come
here at Madison Square Garden with Team USA assistant Monty Williams from the New Orleans Pelicans. Anytime the U.S. finds itself in a close game like this, eyebrows are raised. What are the problems Puerto Rico is presenting for you guys right now?
We've had a few breakdowns on defense. We got to recognize personnel. We've given up a few open shots to guys we've talked about. We'll be better as we go forward. Our ball pressure is good. We've missed some shots on our end. We got to get out and run, but our defense will help us run more.
Puerto Rico's an interesting team. Their two best players play the same position. They don't always play Arroyo and Barea together. We've seen a lot of them together so far. What are the problems that they're causing?
Well, it poses problems because you can run pick and roll on both sides. So our defense has to be able to move and shift. When the ball is in the air, we got to move quickly, and then we got to wrap those guys up. We got to stop those guys from getting into the middle. That breaks down our defense.
Thanks, Monty. Kesty?
Hi, Mark. Thanks a lot. Mark Kestisher, Fran Fraschilla back courtside. Barea, offensive foul. Called before the shot, the illegal screen by Ronaldo Balkman. That'll be his second foul. Fran, yesterday at practice, there's no doubt they were keying in on Barea, Arroyo, and people may not be as familiar with Ricky Sanchez, but they know he was going to be a good shooter, and those are the three guys that have hurt them here early on.
Well, and they all have international experience, and anytime you play against the level of play that these USA NBA players provide, you get juiced up, and there's no lack of confidence from both Arroyo and Barea, needless to say.
DeMarcus Cousins, the push from behind. He had the score just before getting his first minutes of action. A lot of decision-making. DeMarcus Cousins last week injured his knee. Turned out to be a minor injury, but missed some practice, missed some game action. And then we saw Andre Drummond also get some action here on Wednesday. Very difficult decisions for the big man.
Well, Jerry Colangelo told us yesterday, every single practice and game, they go back and they have a different 12 on the board, and I think that's a credit to the guys that are trying to make this team.
Huertas missing the shot, but the rebound comes out to Puerto Rico.
Well, you remember Huertas, who played for Billy Donovan on that 2006 NCAA championship team before transferring to Ole Miss.
That was a tough lineup to crack with Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer et al. Went to Ole Miss and scored about 18 points a game. There's Cousins. And the rebounder, Ramon Clemente, was born in Queens. A lot of New York connections for some of these Puerto Rican players. Huertas against Rose. Keep our eyes on Derrick Rose bridging the first and second quarters. And with Parsons also on the floor after not playing against the Dominican Republic, also trying to make the squad. Got 16 guys. They got to get to 12 by next Friday. And Parsons saying, I'm not going down too easy.
No, you know, he's one of those guys that hasn't played very much in the first two games, but I have a feeling that he's a lock to make the team because of what he brings, and they already know what he can do.
High up on the floor.
More importantly, Mark, take a look at D. Rose now. He's been really, really impressive in the early moments of this game. The drive, the kick, and there's that stretch four that Parsons provides you, that corner three. And, you know, the parlor game in the last 2 weeks is who's making the team and who's not. But so much of it is not necessarily based on how many minutes guys are playing in games, because you talk about Chandler Parsons, you know the qualities he already brings.
As Coach Krzyzewski has said, you know, you got 16 guys on the roster. As Irving gets fouled, trying on the reverse. You can't play all 16 in a game, so he obviously has had his method as to getting 12 guys in against Brazil, getting 12 guys in, rotating it around, and the same here tonight.
Well, you know what Jim Boeheim told me yesterday, right? What does it matter about 11 and 12 guys? They're not going to play much anyway.
That's a good impression. Has he heard that one before?
I heard a few times.
A reminder, let's take a look at the upcoming USA basketball national team schedule of events. Fran and I will have a Tuesday's game here on ESPN2, 2 o'clock Eastern time, as the U.S. takes on Slovenia. The trip to the Canary Islands for the United States men's team, which is just off the west coast of Africa. So they still have a pretty significant flight tomorrow, but only about a 3-hour flight up to Bilbao after that.
Bilbao, one of the great foodie capitals of the world, and the Basque region.
The kind of northeast coast of Spain.
Fish soup, my favorite.
16-4 run right now for the United States, up 7. Great move, and that is a legal play in FIBA for Clemente.
Ramon Clemente, back home, native of Queens. He played junior college basketball in Texas before playing for Greg Marshall at Wichita State.
Klay Thompson, left alone.
Boom.
And the number 2 3-point shooter in the NBA last year, bags one there.
He and Steph Curry, they made almost 500 threes.
Biggest lead of the evening for the U.S. This was a 24-all tie after the first quarter.
Yeah, I've been impressed with D. Rose's pressure defense.
And he is willing to cede any offense. He's willing to be a playmaker and play D. Sanchez.
How about Sanchez?
Whoa. That guy's got range for miles. That one was almost from Hoboken.
That's what you call a stretch 5. But you see the problem that those kind of international players can, pose for you.
I just thought he had some contact from Huertas. Out of bounds. It'll stay with the United States.
Well, we've been talking about Derrick Rose and how good he has been at moving and finding his teammates. And then watch Perea. Look at Sanchez with that high release, 6'11". Ricky Sanchez, who at one point was an NBA prospect.
10 points for Ricky Sanchez. Just saw Derrick Rose head off to the bench. Out of bounds play to Thompson. Misses. Perea fouled as he tried to make his way back up court.
Not a bad foul right there by DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not sure he did that intentionally, but okay to give a foul there and stop the fast break.
Second team foul against the United States in the quarter.
Puerto Rico, we watch them practice, Mark. They have a lot of good spread pick and roll options. Watch this, little handoff.
It's Galindo just into the game. Clemente right place, but Thompson there for the block. Foul at midcourt, and there's the whistle. Alex Galindo gets called for the personal.
Clemente thought he had another one in close. Klay Thompson, I'm a big fan. The more I watch tape of him throughout the season, the more impressive he is. But when you talk to NBA personnel, people, they all know what kind of player he is.
Now you know why the folks at Golden State didn't want to put him in any part of Kevin Love deal that was talked about, rumored earlier, as Parsons misses there. Folks in the Bay Area know all about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, some sons of former NBA players getting it done at Golden State.
Building that new arena in 3 or 4 years. Steve Kerr, the new head coach, lots of excitement.
You know he's watching these games with some anticipation. Cousins inside.
See that?
That'll be number 2 on Cousins as we look at the Splash Brothers. With those three-point numbers, I know Curry was down a little bit to 42%, but you mentioned, was it 261 three-pointers for Steph Curry and another 223 for Klay Thompson. Kyle Korver finding his way on the floor. There you go on the baseline in blue, number 17, popping out to guard Alex Galindo. Korver hasn't seen a lot of action.
Oh, that's an offensive foul right there.
Yeah, Sanchez push, no call, and then Harden's going to get tagged for clipping Huertas.
You know, we used to say this when you and I were doing games back a few years ago and trying to educate fans on FIBA play. Now, we got 3 pretty good officials out here, but some nights you're just not sure what they're going to let go and what they're going to call. And that's important because you must keep your composure when you get to a one-and-done situation and you get to Spain in those final 4 games.
Also refereeing different as we get another foul down low here, Korver. How's it different, the refereeing versus the NBA?
Well, they don't, you know, you got a referee from Bulgaria or Lithuania, they may not really know much about Coach K, and Steph Curry, and James Harden. They just officiate the game, and they don't worry about, you know, what you sometimes think happens in the NBA. I'm not saying it happens, but, you know, the superstar call, that doesn't happen as much.
And while Clemente shoots free throws, you could celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Little League with coverage of the 2014 Little League World Series. First at 12:30 Eastern, South Korea will take on Japan in the International Championship game. And then at 3:30 Eastern, the youngsters from Nevada will face Illinois in the U.S. Championship game. The Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Saturday on ABC. And it's been a fun tournament to watch in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Boy, amazing performances by so many of those young players. Fun to see. It's compelling, isn't it?
It really is. I get sucked in every year as Parsons gets called on the travel, and it's a great tournament to watch. It's amazing how some of those kids have poise at that age, at 12 and 13 years of age. And, of course, you can relate that to some of the teams here for Coach K's USA team. Guys like Kyrie Irving, who we had a chance to talk to before tonight's game, realizing, you know, they watched Team USA in years past, and now here they are almost on that stage as they get set to get that charter heading toward Europe tomorrow.
And you see there's nobody in the low post mark. Look how much room those guards have to operate.
Here's Arroyo, a deep 2 for Carlos Arroyo, and Puerto Rico has scored 7 in a row. They're only down 1.
Listen, Carlos Arroyo, he's done this time and time again his whole career. This is no surprise that he's given USA the business. Back in 2004 in the Olympics, the first loss Team USA had since using NBA players, this guy dropped 24 on him in a 19-point win.
Presented by IBM.
Spike Lee at Madison Square Garden. No Knicks game on the schedule yet, but taking on the United States game and only a 1-point lead over Puerto Rico. One of the assistants for this Puerto Rico squad. There's Carlos Morales, one of our compadres at ESPN.
Yes, he is. Carlos Morales, former national team coach, a legend in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and he does ESPN Deportes and ESPN International, covers the NBA for us, and great guy, brings great experience to that coaching staff. A legend, if you will, on the island.
I got to give Puerto Rico a lot of credit. If you're just tuning in, you want to talk about a wild tune-up schedule. They left San Juan for Spain. They beat Angola. Went from Spain to Serbia, lost to Turkey, then beat Argentina, who, by the way, they're facing their first game up at the World Cup. And then Paco Olmos' team went back to Spain, made 3 cuts, flew to New York, where they're playing tonight. Tomorrow they fly to Seville, and they have to go to Madrid, which is not right next door to Seville, to play Turkey for one more tune-up before they take on Argentina.
They will be well tested. And they certainly have, this is not the vintage Argentina team of the last decade or so. No Ginobili, no Carlos Delfino. It's a team in transition and a team that's getting much older. There's a good pressure by Irving.
Rudy Gay against Sanchez, blows by him for the basket.
I think Sanchez was trying to give the foul and just didn't give it hard enough.
You were talking about Argentina. They still have Luis Scola, Andres Nocioni.
Yes.
Knicks fans will know Pablo Prigioni, who's now been in the league a couple of years, even though they don't have Manu. Nice move and play for Huertas.
It's a different team, Mark. Yeah, they're not as good as they were.
Davis goes flying that time.
And even, the guys you mentioned, Prigioni and Nocioni and Scola have lots of tread on those tires.
Foul was on Ramon Clemente, his third. A look at Arroyo and Puerto Rico, and they were not given any favors in Group B. Argentina and Greece are both top 5 in FIBA rankings, and Croatia also in that group at number 16. Now, if you need USA Basketball updates at your fingertips, download the USA Basketball app today. For the latest news on the men's and women's national teams, you can check out rosters, photos, video, and more available at Google Play and the Apple App Store. And I actually downloaded it about a week ago, and it will be indispensable as we figure out the rosters. All the cutdowns have to be done a week from today.
Exactly.
Tournament starts in Spain on Saturday next week.
A day before, that's correct. That's why there's some talk of not cutting the team down to 12 by tomorrow morning.
4 minutes to go in the half. U.S. getting plenty of pressure from this Puerto Rico squad.
I would have liked to see a little bit more ball movement out of that trap. Davis forced up a tough shot.
Fran, bottom line, the game doesn't mean anything toward next week's start of the World Cup, but I would think Coach K, in some respects, is happy to be this deep into a game and feel some pressure as the score is made by Clemente.
Well, I think he'd rather be up 25 myself, but,
I oversold that just a bit.
You did. But this is good because this is going to be one of those quarterfinal or semifinal games that they find themselves in going into halftime. Not every game is going to be a blowout, although pool play should be relatively easy for them.
Channel USA going up here after the Kyrie Irving.
Great stuff. Looks like Clemente got fouled, but I love the way Puerto Rico spreads it.
Now Huertas from behind getting James Harden with 3:04 to go in the half.
In pool play, in pool C play, it's not a difficult bracket at all. It's probably the weakest bracket, but there are names that are very familiar to NBA and college basketball fans.
And of course, the United States, after that friendly against Slovenia in Gran Canaria, they'll be off to Bilbao, where their first matchup will be against Finland a week from Saturday.
Finland with Eric Murphy, the former Chicago Bull. I think he might be heading to Cleveland, but his mom is Finnish. Turkey, not as good as they've been in the past. New Zealand, always feisty. Dominican Republic, they beat the other night. And, of course, Mike Fratello coaching the Ukraine. And they are led by Pooh Jeter, former Portland Pilot. And had a brief experience with the Sacramento Kings, but a very, very good player internationally.
And for those who may be just jumping on the World Cup for the first time, pool play is 5 games in 6 days, and I think that has to be taken into consideration, especially when you talk about Derrick Rose and the wear and tear that first round will accumulate.
Oh, nice, good outlet, good pressure defense on that last possession. Yeah, and to that point, Mark, Derrick Rose is likely to only see about 20 minutes a game in each of those pool play games. because the team will be commanding big leads. There'll be the close, watchful eye of his Chicago Bulls coach, Tom Thibodeau, on him. Member of this coaching staff.
One of the assistants under Mike Krzyzewski, along with Jim Boeheim and Monty Williams.
Tom Thibodeau told me he's having a great experience. He said everything's set for training camp. Don't worry, I've got all the playbooks done, all the video stuff taken care of. I'm going to help the USA win a gold. And as soon as they get back to Chicago, he'll be right back at it.
I think they're enjoying the Tom Thibodeau of Team USA assistant lore. But going deep into the night also, breaking down the film. And they're really at the forefront of the defensive effort that Coach K has really enjoyed so far in camp and in the exhibition games. United States over the limit.
There's one of my buddies, Daniel Santiago. As you see Jerry Colangelo right there. Daniel Santiago, 38 years old. Started his college career at the University of New Mexico. Didn't play much and ended up an NAIA All-American at St. Vincent's in Pennsylvania and played for the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Won 4 championships in the BSN down in Puerto Rico. 38 years of age now. Rudy Gay off the bounce, knocks it down.
Let's give Rudy Gay some credit because when he got traded from Toronto, I think that trade was back in December, he had a terrific second half of the season for Sacramento. Look at this ball.
There's Sanchez, a deep 2. Couldn't finish off the beautiful effort around the horn. Harden with the step back.
See, the danger for USA is in that one and done quick shot, which obviously James Harden can make, but if you don't keep a team on defense and they come down and score like that, sometimes it takes the wind out of your sails.
Carlos Arroyo keeping Puerto Rico within hailing distance.
See, right now this is just isolation ball.
Irving chucks it up, no good. And here comes Puerto Rico, only down 5.
See, that's the lesson here, that as good as USA is individually, moving the defense is going to be critical against the very best teams in this tournament.
Arroyo nearly got stripped by Thompson, playing some good defense, but gets in a little tight there and gets called for the foul. Foul on Klay Thompson, 1:03 to go here in the first half. Puerto Rico. Hardaway Jr. getting set for his sophomore NBA season with the New York Knicks. He was here Wednesday night as well, taking in Team USA action.
Basketball junkie. His dad is going to be an assistant coach in the NBA this year. I think he's going up to the Detroit Pistons.
Stan Van Gundy, our former friend, taking over the Pistons.
Former friend?
Well, still my friend. Former colleague. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go with former friend. He'll hit me over the head with that one.
This guy's pretty crafty, isn't he? Played his basketball at Florida International. You know, I remember going to training camp. I think it was 2002. I went up to watch the Utah Jazz practice, and they had a guy named John Stockton as the point guard.
Heard of that guy.
The backup point guard was a guy named Mark Jackson. And then the rookie point guard was this guy. So you think he learned a couple things that year?
I would think he would learn a few things.
Yep.
And here he is now, 35 years of age.
People forget Mark Jackson finished out his career with the Utah Jazz.
There's the balance for those top 3 for Puerto Rico. 10 apiece for Sanchez and Arroyo. As Puerto Rico within 3 under a minute to go in the first half. They got a hand on it. Irving collects and finishes.
You know what I liked about that possession? Rudy Gay skipped that ball the other side of the floor. Even though they didn't finish the jump shot, spread the defense out.
Arroyo so uncanny with that move in the lane. And then it goes to the United States.
No, they went pick and pop. Now watch Rudy Gay just make the defense move side to side. And that opened up the driving, the jump shot, and then spreading the floor for the rebound, and then Kyrie gets to finish.
And that shot, Fran, as Harden under duress missing. That shot's going to be available, right? That open 3 throughout the tournament.
Well, if you move the ball, that was another quick shot by Team USA that's going to allow Puerto Rico to close this gap. Look at the pressure defense.
Just over a second difference. Shot clock and the end of the half. Arroyo gets by Thompson. No look to Galindo. And he bags a 3. as Puerto Rico is within 2 with 4 seconds to go in the half. Timeout on the floor. Puerto Rico's three-point shooting prowess helping them stay in this game here so far tonight. 6 for 10 from three-point land for Puerto Rico. Alex Galindo. Berea likes it.
USA by 2. Puerto Rico has done a terrific job tonight of spreading the floor with their guards. Take a look. Watch the ball screen that's going to come at the end of the shot clock. It's going to contract that defense just enough so that Alex Galindo, the former Florida International Panther, gets the open look. They've banged 6 out of 10 threes, but they wouldn't get those opportunities without Berea and Arroyo probing the defense with the dribble.
4 seconds to go in the half. From half court, Thompson. Now a little running three, and count it. A nice answer for the United States for the 6 three-pointers hit by Puerto Rico.
What do we always say? A dribble per second. They kept their composure. Harden didn't have it. He kicked it out. I watched Klay Thompson square his shoulders, even though he's moving to his left. Well done. And a big bucket.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. USA Basketball presented by Nike, the United States Air Force Academy drill team. As we get set for the start of the second half, 52-47. The U.S. out in front of Puerto Rico. Very tightly contested affair, more tightly than many thought, with Frank Fraschilla and Mark Stein. I'm Mark Kestisher. As we look ahead to our Samsung Star Watch, Puerto Rico did a nice job spreading the floor in the first half.
Well, they got 2 very experienced guards, obviously, when you talk about Berea and Arroyo. And what they did in that first half, the Team USA's defense, is spread the floor, take the post people away from the rim, and forced USA to defend all 50 feet. Ricky Sanchez, the stretch 5-man, opening some things up, and impressive first half offensively. Also impressive, Derrick Rose, I thought. 7 minutes, but really showed some great ball movement, explosiveness, knocked down a 3. And Coach K, who played 12 in that first half, wouldn't be surprised if he tightens up the rotation now and try to open up this lead.
So Derrick Rose on the bench. He'll start the second half there as he did in the first half. Carlos Arroyo, who was in double figures, 10 points. Also Ricardo Sanchez with 10 and J.J. Berea with 8. As Puerto Rico had a very tight first half rotation. We told you all about their travel they have had here in the pre-FIBA World Cup exhibition schedule for them. We'll see how their stamina lasts here as we get underway in the second half in front of a very nice crowd in Madison Square Garden. A little send-off before the U.S. heads overseas.
Now, if you're Team USA and you got the pep talk in the locker room about the defense, you don't want to overpressure and open up the floor. So you got to be smart and consistent, and all 5 defenders must work together.
6 on the shot clock. All contested between Franklin and Harden, and it looks like Harden's going to get called for the push. That'll be his second.
It's a very crafty team, Mark. We watched them practice today, and when you have 2 guards like Puerto Rico does, they can really spread you out, and then it makes Sanchez more effective. Franklin, Huertas, when he comes in shooting those threes.
Shot clock is reset to 14 off the inbound. Berea finds Sanchez. Good look for Balkman against Fareed. Fareed wins the battle and gets fouled. Got knocked on the side of the head by Franklin. That'll be number 2 on Alex Franklin.
You know, Kenneth Fareed is going to be so critical for Team USA. He's not your typical FIBA 4-man, but with Anthony Davis being able to play offensively away from the basket, Fareed gives you the energy and toughness.
And of course, the United States, who came into this training camp in Las Vegas figuring Kevin Durant would hold that spot at the 4. Offensive foul. And speaking of the big guys, here are the guys in contention. Remember, we got 16 spots, only 12 can play.
Well, and you know what? You can count Anthony Davis as a given. I think Fareed is a lock. I believe Plumlee's a lock because of what he brings defensively. Cousins and Drummond, we'll see. Cousins obviously coming off one of his best seasons as a pro, a double-double guy, a 20 and 10 guy. Of course, the knee injury last week set him back a little bit.
And we'll see Drummond, who played well at the end of the Dominican Republic game. We'll see if he gets into this game tonight, or maybe they've seen enough. Here's a turnover, and the U.S.
Oh, see, you got to shoot that.
Finds Davis, able to convert anyway, and the foul.
Well, take a look right here. You love the unselfishness, but Steph Curry's got to lay this in. Good cook ahead. There's the pass. Gives up the layup. Unfortunately, Anthony Davis gets the basket. Now, the reason you got to shoot that is Anthony Davis has 2 fouls. And if that happened to be an offensive foul, because some guy from Manchuria calls it that way, that's his 3rd foul, and it's early 3rd quarter, and you can't afford that.
Yeah, he picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter, which limited his minutes in the opening half against Puerto Rico. And another whistle, and that time on Curry will be his 3rd. He'd also picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter.
So we talked about being too aggressive. Now take a look now. Barea very good at drawing contact. See, you know, to me, that's legal guarding position right there. Once you've established yourself, you're allowed to move sideways. I think Steph Curry had a good beef right there.
So 2 guys on each team with 3 fouls. Boston had picked up his 3rd short time ago here in the 3rd quarter. For those new to FIBA, 5 fouls and you're out. Unlike the NBA 6 rule, and a turnover from Puerto Rico as Arroyo tried to find Franklin. Look at Paco Olmos, who is the national head coach of Puerto Rico. Took over last July. He's the head coach of Cangrejeros in Puerto Rico. In fact, 3 of his players are on this team: Santiago, Sanchez, and Galindo. Curry under duress hits a 3.
When you talk about guys like Curry and Thompson, James Harden, they can score quickly. But
biggest lead, Fran, at 10 now.
Yeah, but it has to start, Mark, on this end.
Wow, as Correa took a big hit but got that floater to fall. Now coming back on defense, a little push maybe to slow things down as he got hit on the noggin pretty good, did Barea.
Well, this is what Steph Curry does. Watch, and I love the screen right here. Baseline screen, quick release. Barea gets hit. Watch the floater. He's got that down. And he got hit right on top of the head. I don't think Barea is going to be in Minnesota next year. I've heard that they're going to move him, but you talk about a guy that can give you 20 minutes a night off the bench as a spark.
Thompson showing the move, and again,
see, that ball never hit the rim.
And that's the difference in the rule.
That's right, and the Puerto Rican players were pointing that out to Matthew Myers. It's got to hit the rim first before you can play with it up there.
Tipped by Curry, 10 to shoot. Arroyo against Curry. Arroyo, NBA veteran, now playing in Turkey. They isolate. Misses on the fall away. And they double Curry this time. Fareed was working hard before the game with Monty Williams on that kind of play.
That's what he did the second half of last season in Denver. He's murdering there with that jump hook.
Play at the rim is going to be so key for Team USA.
Let's see. Does the ball hit the rim? Oh, it did. That's good play. Good play by Fareed. Wait, good energy.
Over Puerto Rico in the 3rd. Our Mark Stein is with Carmelo Anthony. Mark.
Thanks, Kesty. You're here in the Spike Lee section. Give us your expert analysis. You've worn this Team USA jersey before. What do you see out of this group?
For me, I just want them to have fun with it. You know, I know when I was a part of it in 08 and 12, the one thing that kept us going, like we have fun with one another. So I just want everybody to have fun, enjoy it. It's not going to be easy, but just enjoy this moment. We know what we represent. We represent our country. It's not about one person. It's about everybody. Everybody play their role. We won't have no problem.
You made your decision to stay with the Knicks. Obviously, a lot of moves in the Eastern Conference. Handicap the East for us now that it looks like Cleveland's going to get Kevin Love and put him with Kyrie and LeBron.
Yeah, congratulations to him, man. We see them in the second game of the season. So, but it's fun. I mean, the East, it seems like everybody is just, making some moves. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to this season, man. I feel like I'm the rookie of the vets. I feel like this is, I just got drafted again. I feel excited about this season coming up, and I can't wait to get going.
Thanks for the time, Kesty.
All right, Mark, thanks a lot. And, I know a lot of New Yorkers are happy to have Carmelo Anthony still here. Saw a lot of sevens as Kenneth Faried with the emphatic slam. He should be interesting with Cleveland. LeBron James back. Derrick Rose and his health with Chicago. Paul George not with Indiana.
Toronto should pick up right where they left off. Jonas Valanciunas will be likely a competitor to this USA team playing for Lithuania.
And DeMar DeRozan, who we haven't seen tonight, trying to make this USA team.
See, now this is the manimal. This is what they need. That's not a good look.
Might get away with it, though. Thompson the lob, but Anthony thought it was a shot. Saved on the baseline, and the U.S. going to make something out of nothing.
You know, as a coach, if you're Coach K, part of you likes the fact that they're trying to be unselfish. But the manimal is important because he gives Anthony Davis a bodyguard, and you love his energy. And then watch the block shot.
Manimal Kenneth Faried.
Hey, that guy grew up right across the river in Newark, New Jersey.
That's right. Coming home. 6 block shots for the U.S. tonight. That puts him at 21 for the 3 games so far. It'll be a big staple heading into the FIBA World Cup 8 days from tonight. Look at Thompson playing the right to half court and then the foul call.
You know what? That's that ticked off Klay Thompson we were talking about. And I like it. I love the way he defends.
I want to touch on something Carmelo Anthony mentioned. Have fun with it. How difficult is it to be so young and be on a team where you're really not allowed to lose?
Well, it's true, but the fun part for these guys, and Kyrie Irving told us this, he loves playing with other great players.
And a foul on the Balkman drive. By the way, Ronaldo Balkman playing with 4 fouls. 5 and you're out here, but he'll get to the line for 2 with 5:40 to go. There's not a lot of room for error. You had mentioned the Puerto Rico, one of their biggest wins in the history of the nation in basketball was 10 years ago in Athens when they took down the U.S. But
the Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth.
Yes.
And that was a first round. That was the first game out of the chute, so you could still get into medal contention. But take a look at that. That was not just a win. That was a beatdown.
Absolutely. Carlos Arroyo and Daniel Santiago, the 2 remaining members of this national team who played in that game. By the way, Puerto Rico is they're playing without John Holland, who's an excellent young player, went to school in the Bronx, then to St. Benedict's. Outstanding player at Boston University, and helped them get a spot in the World Cup last year. John Holland on that bench. He's hurt right now.
They lost to Mexico by 2. They've finished second in the FIBA Americas as Curry is fouled, a non-shooting foul. And that one will be on Barea, number 3. It's been a fun matchup to watch the point guards here tonight between Puerto Rico and the USA. They're not going to be an easy out in a very tough group.
No, and you know what? They'll advance. They've got a couple teams in their group. I think Senegal's in their group. Egypt may be in their group. They'll advance to the round of 16 without a doubt.
Steph Curry at the line. As Puerto Rico was over the limit. NASCAR's best drivers battle this Saturday night under the lights. The world's fastest half-mile chase. Hopes hanging in the balance. 43 drivers, 16 advanced, 3 races to go. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Bristol, presented by AutoZone. That's tomorrow at 7 Eastern on ABC.
Mark, you remember in the first half we talked about USA being, because of the offensive firepower, they're going to be a team of spurts. Okay, they had the slim lead at the half, and now they're up 15. Now, the key is to play possession by possession on the defensive end and try to lock down Puerto Rico. Don't give them a chance to get back within 10.
Yeah, Puerto Rico was tied at the end of 1. U.S. went on one of those spurts, but Puerto Rico came right back to get within 2. Now late in the shot clock, Barea against Irving, and Kyrie will get tagged for that foul on JJ's move inside. Both teams over the foul limit here in the third quarter with still 5:05 to go. And that's big in FIBA rules as well. You got to be able to hit your free throws.
Well, and you got to be able to recognize that it only takes the fifth foul until you start shooting free throws. And so once you get a team in the bonus halfway through this quarter, it's important for you to attack the basket, draw fouls, or open up for kick-out threes.
When you take a look at that, Puerto Rico's only 0 for 1. That really speaks to the defense, the perimeter defense that the U.S. has played against a Puerto Rican squad that really was hitting the triple in the first half.
Little zone now. 1-2-2 zone with the center up top. He'll drop. As the ball gets swung, he'll drop.
Curry from his teammate Thompson. Very dangerous if you're going to play zone against Team USA.
What you're doing is, you're trying to sneak the curveball by him and not throw him the fastball every time. But that time, Steph Curry get his feet set, and that's child's play.
13 for Steph Curry. There's Balkman playing
the
fouls and a beautiful move past Anthony Davis.
And what they did again is they spread the floor. They brought Balkman away from the basket, and they forced Davis to guard out there, and he wasn't able to do it.
Ronaldo Balkman not only played with the Knicks, but as you mentioned, born in Staten Island, a homecoming. Klay Thompson not there, but Fareed is.
All you got to do is tip it in. You don't have to dunk it. Good, smart IQ play right there by Kenneth Fareed.
The other way, Fareed with the block. The Manimal in full force here in quarter three. Curry hesitated, now a deep three, no good.
Coach K was not happy with the energy Kenneth Fareed played with the other night.
Balkman fouled on the follow. He's got to like the energy he's seeing tonight.
No question. Sent him a little message. And as I said earlier, he needs to be Anthony Davis's partner in there. Be his bodyguard, if you will.
I thought it was interesting on Kenneth Fareed, as we have almost a line change coming up here, is that Kenneth Fareed said he's been more vocal here with Team USA than he is with his own Denver Nuggets team.
The great thing about Team USA and the opportunity for these guys, and despite the injury to Paul George and the guys that have pulled out, is many of these guys have gone back to the NBA with a renewed sense of purpose. They improve playing against other great players. They also learn how to win. Anthony Davis has not been in a playoff game yet. Kenneth Fareed has had very little success in the playoffs. This is an important step for guys who are healthy enough to play through this tournament.
We see guys like Anthony Davis, Kenneth Fareed getting a seat here. I think, as you pointed out, Coach K's got to be happy with his first unit for the first 6 minutes and 10 seconds of the quarter. And now they'll get a look at guys like Rudy Gay, Derrick Rose back on the floor, and Boogie Cousins as well. Harden feeding Gay. Rudy comes up short, but tips it out. Another possession for the U.S. Balkman left Harden wide open, but he missed the three. Puerto Rico trying to push the tempo. Turnover.
Yeah, excellent pressure defense in this third quarter so far.
Great behind the back, in the air pass from Derrick Rose, and Thompson finished.
About a week ago, there were those bloggers saying that he was going to get cut. They don't watch a lot of NBA basketball. Seriously. The guy shoots at a high rate, he defends, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder.
There's Arroyo hit by Rose on the three. Carlos Arroyo will go to the line, but let's take a look at Derrick Rose in action here.
Yep, no question. In the limited minutes, he's really, really been good tonight. You get Curry or Thompson, particularly, get their feet set, and that's usually money. Coach K told us at practice this is the best three-point shooting team he's had since he's taken over Team USA. We're not even talking about guys like Korver and Parsons and Harden tonight, not really taking a lot of shots. Dame Lillard shoots 40% from three if he were to make the team.
Well, there's Jerry Colangelo. I do not envy the chairman, Jerry Colangelo, and he told us yesterday it's a lot of open voices. Coach K, Coach Boeheim, Monty Williams, they're all going to have a say, Tom Thibodeau. And these are going to be very difficult cuts when they do come. You're cutting some really good guys. It's going to be very hard decisions to make.
And Jerry told us yesterday he will do the cutting. Coach K will be there, but Jerry will tell the players personally and directly. He feels it's his responsibility to let them know where they stand. And if they do cut tomorrow morning, and that's when it'll happen tomorrow morning, not tonight. It's very, very difficult because these guys have given up a lot of time.
Well, the plan is that after this game, they will lock themselves in a room at the hotel somewhere, probably go deep into the night, and then that charter doesn't leave till 3 in the afternoon tomorrow, leaving them plenty of time to make any cuts if they decide to make them as Sanchez picks up the foul.
You know, if you know about Coach K and his, you know, how he does things, after a Duke game, he and the staff will go back to the house, watch the tape, and sometimes it'll be 3, 4 in the morning. And I asked him yesterday, I said, is it the same way with this staff? And he said, oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll go back, and in this case, it's not just the film and the breakdown of the X's and O's. It's more about, all right, put the names on the board, and where do we stand with each guy?
Well, it's kind of like almost NBA or NFL draft style. Name plates up, what works, which combinations. And as Coach K told us all yesterday, he's really going to have 8 or 9 core players. Cousins there inside on that play. And then who would be the 3 or 4 complement players? Might not be the better players, but guys that will come in for 2 or 3 minutes and give them max effort.
Right. It's not about an all-star team. It's about who fits with the core 9. Who can accept being the 10th or 11th man.
Now, with all that said, do we have more questions after tonight's game, more difficult decisions, or are we seeing more clearly?
No, I don't think so. I think so much has happened behind the scenes with practice that's going to determine who makes the team, and it's not going to be just the performances tonight.
Well, there's the 16 current where we are right now. FIBA rules, 12 can make it. Now, there's 11 players without FIBA tournament experience and only a couple returning from the Olympic team, Harden and Davis. And they thought they'd have Kevin Durant to that list as well, but he pulled out here. As Harden, no foul called under heavy duress, it'll stay U.S. ball.
James Harden is used to getting this call right here. It really wasn't much until the end. A.D. Vasaya with that basket, former Virginia Tech Hokie. Played for our ESPN colleague, Seth Greenberg. I talked to A.D. and he wanted to send Seth his regards. His father was a tremendous player in the Superior League, Daniel Vasaya. 17 years worth of pro experience.
We were talking to Chuck Martin, who I met today for the first time, who's now going to be an Indiana assistant.
For Tom Crean?
For Tom Crean, was at Marist before that. And he said he looks just like his dad did. And he could score.
He's a tremendous shooter.
He's been a little bit under the weather as well, as Cousins got blocked off by the big man Daniel Santiago. Vasaya dealt with some sort of throat infection overseas coming here to the U.S. David Huertas shut off. Here's Vasaya. It's right of the mark, but the 7-footer has the rebound. Puerto Rico was tied after one, got within a couple late in the first half. But with under 90 seconds to go in the third, they find themselves down 19. 2 shots coming for Puerto Rico after the third foul by DeMarcus Cousins. Coach K got to be happy. His team's outscoring Puerto Rico 27-13. Fareed and Curry. Curry with some foul trouble, picked up that third, but has been very effective here in the third quarter. Take a look at the upcoming USA Basketball national team schedule of events and the final game before the World Cup begins. The United States will take on Slovenia in the Canary Islands. We'll have that one for you at 2 Eastern time on ESPN2.
Yep. The Dragic brothers.
That's right.
Goran and Zoran.
Zoran.
Goran, of course, coming off an all-NBA season for the Phoenix Suns, one of the outstanding point guards in the NBA.
Jay was loading up there, got fouled. Slovenia was in the U.S. group, if I recall, 4 years ago at FIBA in Turkey.
They love their basketball.
They do.
That little country, part of the former Yugoslavia. And I just heard today, Erasm Lorbeck, who spent a year at Michigan State with Tom Izzo, who's gone on to a fine European career. He is not going to be able to play for Slovenia because of knee issues. He's been injured often in the last few years.
That's some of the great part of the World Cup. Teams like Slovenia, Lithuania, with I just think of the talent on that squad, the size of the country, and the rest of the world sees FIBA, you educated me on 4 years ago, the FIBA World Cup, formerly World Championship, way bigger than the Olympics.
Well, Lithuania is a country of 3 million people, and they call basketball the second religion.
And they got a really good team as Gay hits the turnaround.
You know, he's not Paul George, he's not Kevin Durant, but he gives you that stretch four look in international play. Spends most of his time playing small forward. And there's DeMarcus Cousins picking up another foul, and he's got to just maintain his composure. You know, the FIBA officials, now these guys know him, but that's frankly one of the concerns if you keep him is there going to come a key game where he loses that composure because he's super talented.
Yes. Great talent. And 10th in the league scoring, number 5 in rebounding, and really had a great year in Sacramento.
And he wants to be on his team.
Yes.
And he's worked hard to be on his team, minus the knee injury last week that set him back a little bit.
And I think even in the last 12 months, even though Sacramento Kings are somewhat off the national radar, he's really done a lot to turn that image around. Has really been a team guy. They're trying to build things in Sacramento.
Yep, new ownership.
Yep.
You know, you got guys like Chris Mullin and Mitch Richmond involved. And
Big Shaq's involved as well.
Yep.
The minority stake. And he would love to make this team. Going to be tough cuts, as we pointed out, as James Harden scores inside. 35 seconds to go, third quarter. The United States was up 5 at halftime. Right now sitting on a 20-point lead. Arroyo is bouncing back and forth all night. What a set of moves from that guy. 15 for Carlos Arroyo.
The 7 NBA teams making a nice living in Turkey right now.
Now the crowd gets into it with the shot clock off here at the end of the third. And Derrick Rose with the ball in his hands. Gay for 3. Count it. And the United States with a 20-point lead at the end of 3, outscoring Puerto Rico by 15 in the third quarter.
Nobody is more qualified to kind of grade where Derrick is, how he's playing. What do you see out of Derrick Rose tonight?
No, I think he's found the rhythm of the game. I think he's doing a great job of making plays, and he's letting the game come to him. So I'm very pleased with the way he's playing.
There's naturally a lot of concern, especially in Chicago, every time he takes a night off or rests from a practice. How much more comfort does it give you just to be able to be here with him every day and watch this?
No, it's great. I think it's the best thing for him. Obviously, because of the depth of the team, he doesn't have to play a lot. You know, just find the rhythm of the game, go out there, do your job, and this is a good build-up for him. So they're all positives.
What is this team ceiling defensively?
You know, we're still a work in progress, and that's what we're trying to concentrate on. Our improvement daily on both sides of the ball. But we know we have great versatility. We got great length, we got quickness, and we have to use it appropriately.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Mark.
Lunchtime with Tom Thibodeau. We saw Derrick Rose scoring a nifty move to the rim. So much to attack there, so much juice to talk about. I know Jim Boeheim, I think it was on XM Sirius Radio this morning, he said Derrick Rose is going to be on that plane tomorrow. Is there no doubt Rose has made this team?
No, I don't think there's any question. I think it was more about Derrick and how he felt, and I think Tom Thibodeau's exactly right. Derrick Rose looks pretty good tonight.
What a play by Steph Curry. How did he find that angle behind the back?
I don't know, but he just gave my guy Al a high five at courtside.
Steph Curry, of course, a two-time SoCon Player of the Year at Davidson. We saw Coach McKillop here at practice yesterday.
Yep. Steph's family's here. Saw Adele today at the Under Armour Elite 24 practice.
Pretty Gay on the hold there.
Ball got deflected. It looked like an easy one at first. Take a look. And then Steph saw James Harden heading to the rim. Well, Steph Curry averaged 8.5 assists last season. To go along with all those points.
Everyone still kind of sees him as just a shooter and a three-point specialist. He's become one of the best point guards in all the NBA. Vasallo blocked by Davis. Well, he debuted here at Madison Square Garden, right? Was that Champions Classic, Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was that here.
I think that was here at the Garden.
I know this. He's got a chance to be the next great player in the NBA. Nice move. David Huertas, former Ole Miss Rebel.
Fran, I'm sure you've done the drill where you have the broom for the assistant coach and you're going to shoot. I don't think the broom handle's long enough.
No, but what he did really nicely, Huertas, he used the rim to protect his shot from the length of Anthony Davis, who's got that 7'5" wingspan.
Yeah, because he's been in the league 2 years, so that would have been here. That was the night Coach K passed Bob Knight as the all-time winningest coach in Division I history, the Champions Classic here at the Garden. Anthony Davis, of course, went on to win a championship that year with Kentucky, first player picked in the draft. And last year at the All-Star Game, NBA All-Star Game, was the first time I really got a chance. I mean, he has put on the muscle in the shoulders. He is a big fella.
Let me tell you, he's a lot more skilled. That's good defense right there. The trap Curry. You know, I talked to Steph about this early part of the summer. Oftentimes in pick and roll, he'll struggle a little bit with that trap when they come with high hands. It's something he's worked on. And I don't think international teams can give him a heavy dose of that he can't handle it. But it's all right there. He got that ball deflected. But, you know, Anthony Davis, when I watched him on tape in preparation for the World Cup, Mark, he plays offensively for the Pelicans in that foul line area. And he's got a little bit of Dirk Nowitzki in him in terms of his ability to score from 17 feet. Now, you don't think of that with him because of what he does around the rim.
Huertas over shooting the rim that time. I mean, we all know the story now, right? Point guard in high school, had a tremendous growth spurt, but kept those point guard skills. Just an amazing perimeter defender and inside as well. Puerto Rico down 20. Harden giving max effort and helping force the turnover. Curry had a great seal from Harden to get the room underneath.
Sure did, and it all started with James Harden's hustle. This is a golden opportunity for James Harden to become, you know, not that he's not a great player already, but the leader of this team.
He just ran into a crushing screen from the big man Santiago, and Huertas finishing it off.
Huertas is still playing for a contract in Europe. Told me yesterday at practice he's hoping that a good performance in the FIBA World Cup will give him that opportunity as teams overseas start to finalize their rosters.
He averaged over 17 points a game in the Puerto Rican League last year. Curry off the bounce gets the foul. That'll be on A.D. Vasallo, former Virginia Tech product, as you pointed out.
I mentioned earlier, 11 of the 12 players on this roster for Puerto Rico. I think everybody but Ricky Sanchez played college basketball. All of them except Daniel Santiago finishing up at the Division I level. I mentioned they're without John Holland, who's an outstanding player for them, who will not play. He's out with a knee injury.
Puerto Rico ranked 17th in FIBA. They've been in 21 World Cups or Olympics and have not medaled. And they drew a very difficult Group B.
But I have to tell you, you know, Argentina and Greece, you mentioned Argentina 3rd ranked, Greece 5th ranked. But both teams have struggled during friendly play. And on the other hand, Croatia at 16th in the world is a very talented young team led by Dario Saric.
Davis getting a hand in there against Santiago and forcing the turnover, and Curry fouled in midcourt by J.J. Barea, his 4th. Fran, how about Group B you were just mentioning?
Yeah, and you see, obviously, names that we're familiar with, Argentina, Croatia, and Greece. But Argentina and Greece, really, to me, are not at the level they were, you know, going back over the last decade. Croatia, a young team, and then you see Puerto Rico, and they'll get by the Philippines and Senegal. They'll be in the round of 16 without a doubt. And they have enough, as we've seen, you know, for a good part of this game to make some noise.
I know it's rebranded the World Cup of Basketball. I don't know if you could have the group of death when 4 will advance. Is Group A the toughest with Spain, France, Brazil, and Serbia at the top?
Without a doubt. That Pool A is on, and that's and the interesting thing about this bracket, this pool play of 24 teams, is most of the best teams in the tournament are in the brackets away from Team USA. So you look at Lithuania, maybe Slovenia, and that's it. You see, I think that's the toughest group right there. France is playing well without Tony Parker. They've got a number of NBA guys. Serbia, a tough team. Spain, obviously. And interestingly, Mark, Spain, they may get roughed up a little bit in Group A. And also, the pressure will be on them because they're the host country. Back in 2007, in the European Championships, a David Blatt coached Russian team beat them in Spain. And Spain really didn't handle the pressure well.
It's usually a bonus to be playing in your home country, but the pressure does come along with it. And we know the great games they have played in Olympic competition against the United States. Harden fouled on his way up to the basket. And he is slow to get up.
Well, he got hit in the head, and he's going to pop right up. You mentioned earlier how often James Harden gets to the foul line during the season.
He was 11 for 11 at the line in the Brazil game on Saturday. And now we get a nice hand as he pops up. So you need to get the cobwebs.
We talked about James Harden's ability to get fouled and get to the rim. That time you see, who's that, Basayo? Or Galindo. That might have been.
Yeah, they called it a sportsman-like. Oh, he just came swinging with that right hand. And sportsman-like foul, kind of like a flagrant or the old intentional foul.
Intentional foul. 2 shots in the ball.
He's still trying to figure out which rim to shoot at. Shoot at the middle one.
Shoot at the one that stops moving.
Alex Galindo played at Kansas and Florida International. He's a high school teammate of J.R. Smith, who's about 5 seats over to our left. And there is J.R.
Yep, played for Kevin Boyle at St. Benedict's.
He went over in the last media timeout. A little hug for Rory McIlroy.
And Andy Murray's here tonight.
Andy Murray's here. Yeah, star-studded.
Yeah.
Rory, of course, playing over at the Barclays over in New Jersey.
He's had a good summer.
Yes, he has. A couple of majors. Did not have a good first round yesterday, but bounced back today. He shot a 65 after the 74.
Today, yeah, he was stuck in the rough yesterday.
5.5 minutes to go. This is the last exhibition for the United States here at home. Thompson wide open. Around and down.
You know what you love about that? Steph Curry went left and he threw it back to the right corner. And I remember coaching him at the various skill academies when he was playing at Davidson. And that's something he's worked on quite a bit.
And now trying to get around screens, and Steph Curry gets called for his 4th.
You know, it's crazy because I said this, I think, in the first game that we did, maybe the scrimmage. Inch for inch, you know, at 6'3", he might be as skilled as anybody in the world. Now, he's not the best player in the NBA. We know that. It's LeBron and then Durant. But when you look at a guy like this, who scores like he does and passes like he does, he is extremely, extremely talented. Remember when
Correa is way beyond the NBA three-point line at the end of the shot clock.
I thought that ball might have grazed the rim on the side.
They're going to give to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico ball. There's a timeout.
Puerto Rico ball, but after the under 5 timeout. Madison Square Garden, the host of the final 2 exhibition games on U.S. soil. 33rd and 8. Welcome back to USA Basketball, presented by Nike, a star-studded event here. Rory McIlroy is playing at the Barclays across the river in New Jersey, taking in tonight's Team USA game. Andy Murray with the U.S. Open over in Flushing, getting underway early next week, also taking in some basketball. Spike Lee also a part of Madison Square Garden. Got the feel of a Knicks game, right, and during the regular season. With Spike sitting courtside, and of course he's usually watching Carmelo Anthony, but Melo is sitting not too far from Spike Lee tonight, watching a team that he has played and won a gold medal with.
Carmelo Anthony may be the greatest stretch 4 man in in the history of USA basketball in terms of a guy that's tailor-made for the FIBA game. He had so much success in 2008 and 2012. He's really tailor-made for the game.
Puerto Rico off the inbound of Ronaldo Balkman, the former Knick, playing with 4 fouls for much of this second half, and Puerto Rico will keep possession. They gave the U.S. a pretty good game in the first and second quarters. I don't know if it's a combination of whatever Coach K said at halftime or perhaps all the travel Puerto Rico has done, but a different story in the second half.
And I think a little bit of pride, really, when you talk about Team USA's defense in the third quarter.
Huertas finding Galindo for the 3.
Galindo and Basayo both are 2 guys that are snipers. I remember when Alex Galindo was a freshman at Kansas and only stayed the 1 season. I think he was there with Russell Robinson as a freshman. It was really at the beginning of the Bill Self era.
Balkman playing good defense, getting a hand on that one. But the U.S. comes up with it at midcourt. Thompson for 3. Cousins keeps it alive for Curry. Well, you figure if you put Warriors on one end of the court, one of them's going to hit it.
Nice look by Cousins, too. Looked around, realized he had some shooters out there, and found Curry.
There's Correa, who was so big in the first half. Coming up with the basket. Correa up to 14 points. By the way, that 3 by Curry puts him at 20 here in this game. Curry now dishing to Cousins and added assist to Steph Curry's line. He just looks like it. He makes it look so easy out there. Very effortless.
I think it was a couple weeks ago. He was out with his wife at a California pizza kitchen. He got carded.
He does still look very young. Lindo again after hitting the 3 last time down.
Watch him with the ball now.
There's the lob for Cousins. You know, I know Coach K really appreciated on Wednesday night how despite the big lead against the Dominican Republic, they still played hard, and they're still playing like they have positions to win here in a game they now lead by 30 points.
Well, you know, you can't control chemistry and continuity. That takes time, but you can control your effort. And Coach K has told us that this is the hardest playing team he's had, particularly in practice. That basket's going to count.
Yep, and that's going to foul out Ronaldo Balkman. Let's take a look at Curry and Thompson, the Splash Brothers here tonight.
Yep. Outstanding backcourt for new coach Steve Kerr. David Lee returns. Maybe a healthy Andrew Bogut as well. Iguodala. Good mixture of old and new. Draymond Green, right?
Draymond Green played pretty well for the Warriors.
He sure did.
Yep.
Harrison Barnes.
7 United States players in double figures. There's Kyrie Irving awaiting at the line. Game that was a 2-point game late in the half. Got a late 3. Irving can't convert on the 3-point play. They counted that basket and the foul from Ronaldo Balkman. 2.5 minutes to go. United States winning its first 2 exhibitions by an average of 30. That's the lead now, and that time we're going to get the goaltend call on DeMarcus Cousins. As we point out a couple times, can't touch everything over the rim. Got to hit that rim first. Timeout here on the floor at Madison Square Garden. We will take it to 2:22 to go here at MSG. The United States, big and impressive second half.
ESPN's presentation of USA Basketball is presented by the Nike KD7 collection, available at Foot Locker. And in part by the Jeep Altitude Edition lineup, the official vehicles of
Time for tonight's game track that is brought to you by Jeep. Fred?
I think it's been the play tonight, and it's of Anthony Davis and Kenneth Faried. They set the tone, likely to be the starting center and power forward on this team. Faried gives you the toughness, the energy, the put-back play. Of course, Anthony Davis, an outstanding player, both at the rim and also offensively. But Coach K sends a message to Kenneth Faried after that game on Wednesday night that he felt he could play harder. And really, that has been his success in the league, is his ability to treat playing hard as a skill. And we saw that tonight from him.
It's pretty impressive. 6 for 6 from the field, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 block shots. The United States with 9 more block shots in this game tonight.
Now you're talking about a guy that was one of the great rebounders in modern NCAA history at Morehead State and did it with all the energy.
Court, Rivera, Carlos Rivera getting some time, and is fouled. Will head to the free throw line. We celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Little League with coverage of the 2014 Little League World Series. First at 12:30 Eastern, the International Championship game matching South Korea and Japan. And then at 3:30 Eastern, Las Vegas, Nevada against Chicago, Illinois in the U.S. Championship game. The Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes tomorrow on ABC. So all our Chicago friends who are keeping tabs on Derrick Rose, also keeping close tabs on the outstanding Little League team.
Yep, from the Great Lakes region. This young man at the foul line, Carlos Rivera, he played his basketball not far from here in Long Island. Played for Tom Pecora.
Over at Hofstra.
Yep, had a very good career.
Chandler Parsons on the runner. Now we have 1:45 to go. An impressive second half. I'm sure the coaches were happy with how the team came out of the locker room. But again, one of the big storylines with the 10th U.S. block of the night is who is not going to be going, or at least who won't be on the roster, but still many decisions. We'll see how many guys end up going to Gran Canaria tomorrow.
Well, exactly. You know, some guys did not play tonight. Doesn't necessarily mean their fate is sealed, but the coaching staff will get together, probably go late into the night, and then Jerry Colangelo will make those decisions tomorrow morning.
There's the 4 guys who did not play tonight. DeRozan, who played very impressively against the Dominican Republic. Lillard, I don't know if he's going to be the odd man out with 4 of the 4 point guards. But again, as you pointed out, not necessarily based on who played or who didn't play tonight.
Well, the one thing that hurts Damian Lillard, as much as you love him, is that James Harden really is a ball-handling scorer. And so he alleviates the need for that extra point guard if D. Rose is to struggle a little bit with that knee injury. It's no longer an injury, obviously.
Many decisions to be made, certainly from the backcourt and then up front. Who will complement Fareed and Davis? Drummond did not play today, but Andre Drummond had a big second half on Wednesday. And an offensive foul call here with 40 seconds to go in this friendly between the U.S. and Puerto Rico. Well, a nice crowd showing up at Madison Square Garden to send off the United States team, who's going to finish with a nice send-off here. Great pass, and Mason Plumlee with the jam.
Well, these guys have gone really hard for 3 weeks, better part of 3 weeks, and some really good players are not going to make this team. But Coach K told us yesterday he has absolutely loved the effort from all 16 players.
And tonight it was 20 for Steph Curry as the horn sounds and the United States outscores Puerto Rico in the second half 60-39. Coach Mike Krzyzewski and Paco Olmos, the